Hello Ospreys, my name is Tony. Every week I scour the indie game website itch.io and pick 5 games to play. This week I decided to go back and look at a game I really liked and give it a full and proper review. I'm looking at Tenderfoot Tactics this week, which was a game I thought was really good. After playing through it, I'll tell you if you will enjoy it or if you should avoid it. This is Game Jam. Looking back at this game, Tenderfoot Tactics is a game with amazing concepts. Your main goal is to explore the map and find anything that your spirits want. You play as a team of cute little low-poly goblins on a pilgrimage of a lifetime. The world is absolutely massive and filled to the brim with dangers, secrets, herbs, and a whole lot more. You have this interesting plot of what I can only describe as goblin ghosts that envelop the world, that make it sit so that you have to be careful where you traverse. You're constantly looking for the next resting place and big fights deal. There's towns, rival spirit clans, and fights and upgrades for your goblin boys. I really like the slow progression of the game and the system of leveling up. You have to constantly fight and keep improving so you can get better, as in most games. What's interesting here is each class has different requirements and different abilities. So, in order to upgrade, you have to level up a class before it and make sure you get the right class. For example, the Knight class requires 4 levels in the default Goblin class, and the Polearm class requires 5 levels in the Knight class. This makes it so you have to plan out your class paths in order to get the class you want. I really like the system, but it does have a few flaws. So, certain classes in the game, you don't come with by default. You have to unlock them through battle. And you don't get to see what you need to get that class before getting that class, which can make planning out what class you want pretty hard. So, for example, there's a class called the Salamander that's a really good poisoner class, but in order to get to that class, you have to first unlock it, and then you realize that all the requirements that you need for it, which can be very tough. But that's honestly my only issue with this system. I think the main appeal of this game is its extreme focus on exploration. You don't have any real sense of direction, and maps aren't always agreeing on north and south. So you have to really pay attention to the locations and where you are on the map. I do wish it were easier to know where you are. For example, maybe have the bird you zoom out more. I kind of it's hard to tell where you are all the time. I think right now it's like being stuck in IKEA trying to figure out where the mall is. Now, I think for the most part, it's a really good system, but I think that one little flaw does inhibit the exploration. Now, I want to talk about combat. The combat systems here are nothing short of excellent. It's a tactical RPG in like a classic kind of way, but it adds a little bit of an XCOM flair to it by adding in a flanking mechanic that I think really brings the game to the next level. Making this system push people down in the turn list leads to really, really interesting strategies. For example, I knew the only enemy that would attack was in between 2 characters, so I slowly whittled down his health while making sure that he couldn't move by lowering his turn in the attack order between my 2 guys that were there every time, and this kept him from ever having a turn. That is really good game design, and I think it's an excellent example of a simple design working really well. I love that the various environmental systems in the game work in tandem, but I wish it wasn't based on a tick system and was turn-based, not time-based like it currently is. As it stands, it is too easy to see someone that has the burn status effect die before you have any real chance of fixing it, which can feel a bit unfair. Otherwise, I love the interactivity and how it makes positioning important because the fire spreads. I also wish that ice and poison had more of an effect on the environment. These are just my personal opinions, though. Another thing I wish towns were more useful. As it stands, towns seem to be a place to get to a map, buy clothes, and have a resting point, with occasional item sellers. This sounds good in theory, but it's a problem for a few reasons. One, there are multiple resting areas all around the map, making having a resting area not that special. Two, the dying is all aesthetic. There's no functional use to this dying system. And three, most importantly, the item sellers aren't really that useful, at least in my opinion. I think that adding a weapon and or armor system with sellers would be a great incentive for going to towns. Plus, I think that having weapons that all default people could use so you can choose if a person is a healer, frontliner, or archer would be really useful. This way you can have a much more diverse system for attacking and abilities while also incentivizing being near towns and being careful. There also doesn't seem to be much of a penalty for death. You guys just kind of die and immediately get back up after the fight like they weren't just laying dead on the ground. Now I'm not saying that permadeath is a solution, but I do want more of a punishment for that, and maybe make them like half health till we go and rest again, or something like that. Also, fleeing has absolutely zero consequences as far as I can tell, which makes the stakes feel lower. These are all fairly minor issues though, and don't really impede on the overall gameplay. Overall, I'd say this game is a solid 7 out of 10, and it's worth your time and money. I really like all of the concepts in the game, but there's just a few things that could be done to make the game even better. And I think that if those things were done, this game would even be up to a 9 out of 10. I think this game is amazing, and I really like all of the concepts that work at play here, and I think that they all work together really well. So I would say give this a play, give this your time, and give this your money. Hey, thanks for watching, Ospreys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at UNF Spinnaker TV. Remember to stay safe and wear your mask.